Get that energy going.
So how was boating?
It was delightful. We went to the land between the lakes down in Kentucky. Uh, Boated there. My friend has a boat, so we were just swimming in the lakes. It's kind of rainy all weekend, which sucked a little bit, but it was also kind of cool too because it was like nice and cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I still got majorly sunburned though, so
Well, of course you did.
glad I kept that tradition afloat. Um, but yeah, besides that, it was lots of fun.
That's good.
What about yourself? How was your weekend?
It was good. Friday, my dad came down to do some car stuff.
Or stuff.
Um, and then Saturday they came down for my birthday. My grandma came down as a surprise.
Aw, that's cute. How's she doing?
She's good. She's working a lot more, so I'm a bit worried because she works at a funeral home.
Working out of
So
oh, that's oh, I'm guessing. I suppose those have kind of been. Actually, I don't know. Has there been like social distancing stuff implemented at those places, or?
social distancing is supposed to be implemented everywhere.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it was nice to see her because I didn't know she was coming. And there's a place called Smokeworks. Oh,
Smoke work.
Cooper, I got 4 ounces of melt in your mouth brisket.
Oh,
Um,
sounds pretty good.
big old chunk um, cornbread, and their mac and cheese tasted like jalapeno mac and cheese, and it was a bit odd, but it was all right. Potato salad was just okay as well. But usually, if usually meat places, if the meat is really good, the sides aren't going to be super great.
Right. Damn. So just a lot of good home cooking.
Well, we got it from a restaurant, so
Oh well. Home cooking made it a restaurant.
yeah. And then I brought an ice cream cake, and my aunt made me Rice Krispies with chocolate and butterscotch mixed together, melted on top. I don't know if you remember when I made those in the apartment. Actually, I think that was the year you weren't there. But I made truffles. I made haystacks, which is one of my grandma's recipes, and then I made those Rice Krispie treats. And I shared everything else, but not the Rice Krispie treats, because I ate all
Those
of
are
them.
yours.
I made 2 trays of them,
Wow.
and I ate all of them. They're so
Sounds
good.
like you were. Sounds like you. You boys must be hungry. Really packed it on then this weekend. But it's your birthday, so you deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I say I had ice cream cake for dinner. I had a very thin slice. I haven't really eaten much today. Not been too terribly hungry. Probably because of yesterday.
Oh, that's a good reason.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. And I'm making what am I making for dinner this week? I've got some chicken marinating in the fridge right now. Made me feel very adult.
What are you gonna use it for?
I'm making Thai chicken and noodles. So I bought a big old bag of rice noodles and bought some curry paste. It was buy one get one, so that was pretty nice. And
some Thai curry chicken.
It's kind of a peanut butter sauce, but not much. It's just a little bit peanut buttery.
Okay, just enough that you notice it.
Yeah, but it's a pressure cooker recipe. So I was like, what's something I don't really feel like cooking? What's not really cooking?
Pressure cooker.
Even though I'm now marinating chicken and we'll have to wash and cut the ends off a pound of green beans, but oh well.
Also cooking.
Yeah.
It's not as much cooking.
Yeah, I mean it's going to take 5 hours in the pressure cooker, which is pretty long for a pressure cooker.
Takes how long?
5 hours.
What? To cook chicken?
to cook the recipe.
Are you sure? That's just a crackpot then.
Maybe it is. Maybe it says don't close the pressure valve.
I mean, you should probably figure that out before you put it. If it's 5 hours, it's not pressure cooking. That's crackpot.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna follow the recipe, but you know what it is? I bet you cook it for 5 hours and then you mix a couple of things in and then you close it.
And like pressure cook it for a little bit.
Yeah, for a couple more minutes.
Possibly. If you're pressure cooking for 5 hours, you're not gonna have any chicken left. It's gonna be ash on the bottom.
It wouldn't be ash; it would be goop.
Goop,
You'd make a very thick chicken stock.
Hey, that's kind of good too.
Yeah, even the bones would melt.
Even the bones. Took me bones. Oh, nice. That sounds pretty good. We won't be having too much to eat this week because we're leaving Thursday. Going down to Ohio to visit my brother.
No, I can't remember.
Sorry, what was that?
I just remember you were. I thought you had given another reason that you couldn't hang out this weekend. And I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I said I'm leaving Thursday. I'm gonna go visit my brother.
I think I just thought you were gonna boat for 2 weeks for some reason.
No, I'd actually die. Sun poisoning. No, we're gonna go to Ohio for it is. We're gonna go to Ohio for 4th of July weekend. Be there for a nice long while.
Oh right, you had just said you were gonna be with family that weekend. You didn't say where you were going. That's what it was.
Because he got a new house out there.
Ooh.
So yeah, newly built and everything. So
well, that'll be a nice 4th of July birthday weekend.
It will. I'll have to eat some ice cream cake too.
Yeah. Yeah, on Friday when my dad came down, we went to there's an ice cream place called Brewster's. We got some cones of raspberry chocolate chip.
Oh,
it was really good.
That does sound pretty good.
Which is why I haven't eaten much today because I'm just not hungry. I've eaten so much crap the last 2 days.
You're just full of food.
My mom brought some fudge M&Ms. Oh, I didn't think they'd be good because usually the gimmicks. I wouldn't say usually, but a lot of the gimmick M&Ms aren't very good. But holy crap, these were amazing.
I haven't tried them yet.
They're pretty dang good.
Hey, maybe I should.
And I got a whole big old bag of Flavor Blasted Goldfish.
Big old bag.
Oh, my sister got me gummy bears for my birthday. Oh. I just remembered those.
Are they the Albanese kind?
No, they're Black Forest, which is they're kind of similar.
I don't think I've had those, but
Albanese is pretty close. Black Forest is just the cheaper version of Albanese, but they taste just as good.
Okay,
they're just as soft.
Soft, chewy.
Well, you want to turn on over and get started up here?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Audio Shop Podcast. We had a bit of a break last week for Father's Day, and even though it was my birthday just the other day, we're here again because I'm not as important as dads.
Well, you might be a dad one day, Sam. Maybe you're already a dad.
No, I am not. But we're listening to Aja by Steely Dan.
Asia.
Sorry, that's clearly a J though.
Yeah, they pronounce it Asia in the song. So
well, the guy that sings also has a lisp. So
we'll do the way Steely Dan does.
Fair enough. But yeah, Cooper, you want to get into a bit of the history since you did all that jazz?
Yeah, I'll lay down a little bit of knowledge on y'all. So basically, we're talking about Steely Dan. You may know them as like an American rock group. Made up basically of the members Walter Becker and Donald Fagen. I believe it's how it's pronounced. Now, they're a duo, but they weren't always like a duo. Basically, the band started off as like a sextet. 6 people, right? Mm-hmm. Sextet.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So, for the first couple albums, they were like a full-form 6-member band. But then Walter and Donald were slowly taking it over, and basically these guys have like very strong distaste for touring and for like talking to like critics and like the like movie industry people, which the other band members were not for. So basically, all of them left besides Walter and Donald, and they just kept being Steely Dan. It's actually funny because I have a vinyl copy of Asia. Here, right? It's a gatefold, and there's like this like paragraph written inside of it by a music journalist who basically describes being invited to some recording sessions with Steely Dan, which was very rare, and how the entire time they either completely ignored him or actively insulted him to his face. And then he goes, and then about 2 years later, they invited me to write this gatefold cover for them. I still do not know why. Which I think is hilarious. So they kind of remain elusive and like they just like making music. They don't like touring. They don't like talking to press. They just like making good music. And they have apparently it worked because they have sold very well, 40 million copies worldwide. They've released 9 albums. This being I believe, the 6th of 9. So this is basically when they were pretty fully formed or in their element. And they released actually some albums, not like super recently, but like in 2000, 2003, they kind of had a reunion and made some more albums. Unfortunately, Walter Becker died in 2017. Yeah. So Steely Dan is now in Uno. Though I did read that apparently, I didn't realize this, some of the members of Steely Dan went on and joined the Doobie Brothers. So, hey, there you go.
Yeah, I've not listened to too much of the Doobie Brothers, but maybe I should. Although one of the Doobie Brothers just passed away in like 2018, 2019, right?
Oh, that's a shame.
Let me fact check that really quick.
Yeah, but and then just to give a little background on Asia, it's their best-selling album. Like I said, their 6th studio album. It's kind of got this jazz rock. One of the big things about it is like it has a lot of studio session players. That come in. So obviously Donald and Walter are like the 2 actual members, but they have a bunch of instrumentalists come in and like whenever they need an instrument, and pays off pretty handsomely on this album. And it's tight 40 minutes, only 7 songs, so doesn't really waste time.
And I was incorrect. I was wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of somebody else.
We still have all the Doobie Brothers.
Well, the drummer died in 2012, but that was the only one. I'm thinking of, I can't remember. I think it's a comedy brothers duo for some reason that I keep thinking is the Doobie Brothers.
The Goofy Brothers.
Yeah, that one. That's it. Totally. But yeah, I know one of those session players I will be able to speak about quite a lot, which I discovered as we got into this. But if we want to jump into track number 1 here.
Yeah, we're into the first song, Black Cow, which is how they kick off this album. And it's basically goes right into their kind of the thesis for the album. This is it's extremely smooth. I think is the adjective you'll be hearing a lot today.
Very smooth.
They kind of pioneered a genre called quote unquote yacht rock, which is like this basically just like very smooth rock or guitaring, and very easygoing, which is shown right at the beginning of the song.
Yeah, and it's I kind of dislike the term yacht rock, especially because this to me this is more jazz rock, where yacht rock has become just any rock songs that people listen to on a boat,
Hey, we did listen to this album on a boat, so
that's fair enough. But a lot of the other songs that fall into yacht rock are, like, oh, here's some Bruce Springsteen, or here's some what's another one that's used a lot?
And just dad rock.
Yeah, dad rock. Yeah. There you go. But that's the kind of music that people with boats like to listen to, because it's usually older men. Because usually women are smart enough to not buy a boat.
You just have to have a friend who buys a boat.
Exactly.
That's the better way to go about it.
Exactly. As Warren Buffett said, if it floats or flies, rent it. I don't think either of us could afford that, but anyway. There's a lot of funky bass in this one as well, getting
Yeah, yeah.
right from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, it's smooth, but there's a lot of groove to it,
Mm-hmm.
I should say. Um, like I said, I think it's Walter Becker, the one who died recently, who was the bassist, as well as like main guitarist and lead vocals, as well as Donald. They were both lead vocalists. Um, but yeah, he was kind of more in charge of the bass, and it really plucks along in this one, while still keeping that easygoing vibe.
Mm-hmm. And then the emphasis on I call it the chorus, but it's mainly when they say "big black cow." The drum, I really like the drum hits. Kind of everything sticks to the same simplified rhythm before going back into the rest of the song whenever they say it. It's really nice.
Yeah, and these female vocals kind of chime in during the chorus as well.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of emphasize it, and they're extremely smooth as well. Before the song, kind of after the second verse, there's kind of a bit of a keyboard solo that kind of breaks into it. It's
Yeah.
nothing like super complicated, but it's like like kind of smooth moment.
Yeah, nice kind of jazzy piano solo. That's fits. This is more of a low key song. There's a little bit that's slightly more. I don't want to say technical, but faster paced later on. But there's nothing too crazy on this album. It's no who is the crazy? It's no Van Halen. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is nothing. I mean, this is not designed to pop out in like the very like flashy way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more intricate, a little more low key. But obviously the progressions are still there. Like the introduction of brass in the song as like the second verse kind of kicks off, and then around the 4 minute mark, some more brass kind of pops in, and that, where the kind of live session element of it can really be felt.
And the good sax solo at the end, kind of the lead out sax solo. I love that. Gives a great jazz and fusion feel, to use some fancy musical language.
Oh yeah, it certainly helps the song kind of keep its momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
Because the threat with like a softer sound, right, is that the energy just can't carry itself, right?
Yeah. I mean, because this is not a short song.
No. I mean, all the songs on this album. I mean, it's a 40-minute album, which is kind of on the shorter side, but it's only 7 songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you're averaging like 5 minutes a song.
Well, the Black Cow is a bit longer. Asia, sorry, and then Deacon Blues is 7.
And the rest is kind of like 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes.
Which, speaking of which, we can pop onto the next song.
Track number 2.
Yeah,
Asia.
the title track, Asia. Which, fun fact about this track, apparently it's called Asia, but it's spelled AJA, because I forget whether it was Walter or Donald, but basically it's like one of their like brothers apparently named or married a woman whose name was Asia, and he just liked that name, so he wanted to name a song after that.
Huh, okay. And an album.
Yeah, the whole album's named after that. She's cemented in history.
No, I will say this one has one of my biggest pet peeves.
Song of the album?
Which is instruments split between ears. But it's balanced.
Yes.
The big example is the triangle is in left and cowbell is in the right. Nothing overpowers one ear compared to the other. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, these guys have complete balance in their studio sound.
Mm-hmm.
Steely Dan's kind of notorious for like their pristine, kind of like not over engineering, but like they were really particular with their studio sound, which kind of shows off and folds in this album.
And this one, I feel like the piano line really drives the whole song. It's a very strong piano line that sits pretty close to the top of the mix and is kind of the pushing force throughout the entirety of the song, which is nice. Because this one's pretty low key as well.
Oh yeah, and there's like you said, the piano line. And then you've got the triangle, and there's like these kind of plopping with coconut sounds in the background, like very faintly. Yeah, you almost can't hear them, but they're like just kind of add a little more energy underneath it. It's kind of like a low tide, you know. It's not like up to your neck, but there's a lot going on under the surface.
It's so dense. There's so much going
It's so
on.
dense. Asia's a denser song than we've ever had before. If we could get Asia to work, um, but then like I said, it's an 8 minute song,
Yeah.
so it, keeping like just this like verse chorus probably won't work. But just an interesting where about like 2.5 minutes in the song, it has this kind of like almost like islandish breakdown where there's like an increased emphasis on like drumming like I think like carimbas maybe.
I don't know. I couldn't tell what it was. I said marimba, but I don't think I'm right.
Yeah. Uh yeah, I couldn't put a finger on what instrument it was. But certainly it's going for like a almost like a beach vibe.
Hmm.
Um as this like guitar solo kind of breaks in freestyling underneath it.
Yeah, a lot of the song is the jazz inspired solos, which I'm a huge fan of jazz, so I like it. But if jazz isn't your cup of tea, then maybe not. But the guitar solo was great, and then that morphed into another sax solo,
Yes.
which is not. It was nice and drawn out. It's not the kind of honking sax that I feel like a lot of if you get sax in rock music, usually it's kind of honking. Where this was holding out notes and doing smooth transitions, even when it was playing a little bit faster.
And the drums underneath the sax also kind of up the energy too to match the sax,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of the kind of versatile nature of the instrumentation kind of playing into each other is kind of shown there because it wasn't like keeping its like same kind of mellowness. It kind of raised its stakes with the sax.
Yeah, it's a very good song. I will say, the last 30 seconds. Normally, you know me, Cooper. I sing
I know,
synth
yeah.
praises all day long, but that was not good. At the last like 30 seconds of the song, they threw some synth in there, and that felt so out of place.
It's a weird thing to kind of end on the last thing of the album or last thing of the song. I didn't really mind it, but I also don't think it really added much to the song, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just wanted to kind of make it a little spacey outro instead of just having the instruments play out.
But it didn't
Um,
match the feel of the song whatsoever.
Not particularly. So I'm not sure who made the call there, but it's like 30 seconds on an 8 minute song.
Yeah. But it was just kind of like you're eating really good food, and then you swallow, and before you take a sip of water, you're like, oh, that's kind of a bad taste in my mouth. And then you take a sip of water, and it's gone. But
yeah. I mean, I didn't agree with this too much either, but like, also, I think it was just a little something to make it pop a little bit more near the end.
yeah.
Even though it probably could have just ended at 7 minutes and been a little better for it, but
Can't complain too much. Jump into track number 3 if you're ready.
yeah, track number 3,
Deacon Blues.
Deacon Blues, the first lead single on the album. You think Black Hour Asia would have been it, but it's actually Deacon Blues.
Yeah.
And it's also a decently long song, at 7.5 minutes. And this one kind of goes for a, I don't know how to kind of, I guess, less jazzy, a little more yacht, if we're going with like this genre.
Yeah, I will say this one is a bit more smooth rock as opposed to jazz inspired. This one is on my chill playlist though. It's one of my favorite Steely Dan songs.
It's chill, and I think we should probably take a second to kind of at least for me applaud the vocalists here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I think it's oh yeah. I'm not sure if it's Donald or Walter who's the lead vocalist on this song. I know with a lot of their songs they don't necessarily put like who does what. They kind of switch a lot between them.
Every Steely Dan song, I will admit, before I looked into it, I thought Steely Dan was one person.
It's two guys,
because it's always the same vocalist. That's what it sounds like to me, at least, in every song.
Yeah, but apparently they trade off, from what I've read.
Which is crazy because it sounds exactly the same. And either one of them has a lisp or they both fake a lisp.
Or maybe that's just the way they talk.
Maybe.
But yeah, this the vocalist is very good on the song. Whether it be Donald, Steely Donald, or Steely Walt. Um, where it's got that laid back energy, but there's also a little bit of especially with the lyrics throughout the song, where there's a little bit like a forlornness, almost a little sarcasm as well.
Mm-hmm.
It managed to carry like a lot of attitude in this like very low key performance.
Yeah, the line, excuse me if I play too long, I cried when I wrote the song, or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of got this kind of cryptic, kind of a little deeper meaning. A lot of their lyrics are a little like symbolic or very kind of paint a picture in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, there's so many layers to this one. I particularly like the constant woodwinds in the background.
Oh yeah,
Which I didn't catch too much in the first two songs, but it's a nice change of pace being used in the backing, and they come a little bit forward right before the sax solo at 3:45, and I felt like this sax solo is probably the best on the album on this song.
Oh, it's amazing. It plays so well into the instrumentation, and while the sax solo on Asia is really great, this one just has like a boldness, like it's just like so sure in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't overstay its welcome. It just comes in, comes out, and with like the other instrumentation playing alongside him, like kind of bolstering it. It's almost like it's the lead vocalist for the back half of the song.
Yeah, it's a very strong solo over laid back backing track, but it doesn't overpower it.
Yeah, it's really I don't know. It's one of those songs that like feels effortless.
Mm-hmm.
Like like you can tell like a lot of work went into this song, but like the way it's like performed, you feel like it just naturally happened.
Yeah,
which I think is like one of the hardest things to achieve.
Yeah, there's a reason this made it onto my my chill playlist. It takes a lot to get onto that.
Oh yeah, it's like frictionless.
Yeah.
Like the best way possible. Yeah, and then like the chorus just has like it brings back these female vocals, and like with that percussion underneath, and that little like bow wow wow like parts that have throughout the song.
Mm-hmm.
It all just kind of forms together. That the 7 minutes just fly by.
Yeah, I didn't write too much because I just got kind of lost in it.
It's hard to make a 7.5 minute song that I just go, man, I wish that was longer.
Yeah, yeah.
But this one manages it.
I don't know. I feel like it's just the right length. You know, like I would like to have more music like that, but I worry that it's kind of like overcooking a cake. You know.
Oh yeah. It makes you feel that way. Like a really good like meal where you're like full but you're hungry for more, you know?
Yeah. It was you're very content, but if there was more food in front of you, you totally would stuff your face till you're sick.
Oh yeah. And then it has this nice extended outro where the instrumentation kind of lulls you away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean usually I feel like we're a little hard on like the kind of fade outros, but for this genre, I think it works better than some, just because like having an abrupt ending to a song might be a little jarring.
Yeah. I feel like we've become a lot kinder on the fade out.
Maybe we just were hearing bad examples of fade outs.
Yeah, that was probably part of it as well. If a fade out's done well, you don't even notice.
Which leads pretty well into our next song on the album, Peg, track number 4.
So this one, the song started and I'm like, wow, this sounds so dang similar to one of my favorite jazz artist songs. And I was like, wow, this whole album is just a step away from being jazz. And then I kept listening and I was like, there is no way that's not Larry Carlton. It's Larry Carlton. I looked it up. That's why it sounds like him. So I listened to a lot of Larry Carlton, and it's crazy that I was able. That's the first time I'm usually really good at recognizing vocalists, but recognizing a guitar player by their style was a first for me.
I mean, it's a pretty distinct guitar style on this one.
Yeah,
like a really plucky groove, just kind of carrying the entire song in the background.
Yeah, but he's on a lot of the songs in this album, and after this one, I was like, okay. that's Larry Carlton there, that's Larry Carlton there. I could pick up on it. We should listen to some of his stuff. He went on to do jazz, or I don't know if he was in jazz and then was in Steely Dan. I don't know. He's been doing music for a very long time.
No, I'm looking at his discography right now. He's been making it since the '60s.
Yeah, and he's still going.
I mean, his last release was in 2017, so, and he's got a lot of albums. My lord, like a couple dozen.
They're all great.
And then he's like, oh my lord, he's featured on like so many other albums as well. Man gets around. I respect that.
Yeah, he's a really good guitar player.
But yeah, Pega is the second single on this album. Got Larry Carlton, like you're saying. It's probably like the happiest song on the album, I'd have to say, or maybe the most upbeat.
Yeah, I mean, you say that. I'm jumping a bit into the song, but I really didn't like that a cappella stuff that popped in. That was way too bright, and it was not mixed very well. It kind of just laid on top. And I don't know, it kind of took me out of the immersion of the song, if you will.
Do you mean like during the chorus?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little more obvious where it's like the vocalists are a little more like in your face than on the previous songs. This definitely wasn't a song that should have been like, 8 minutes, but it's like the shortest song on the album.
Yeah, which I think saves it quite a bit as well.
And it's also got like this kind of weird guitar solo, quote unquote, at like the 2-minute mark that I'm not like a super big fan of. I don't know, just feel like it kind of sticks out a little more sorely than other ones. But, it's only like 20 seconds long, so.
Yeah, I think that guitar solo is what pushed me over the edge. I'm like, this is probably Larry Carlton. I can't imagine anybody else playing this. So
it was a good guitar solo. I just didn't feel it was as stick with the song as the other elements of him.
I think I was distracted by the acapella. I didn't have a ton for this one just because of we jumped from 8 minutes to 4 minutes, and I'm like, wow, this is a very short song, even though it's a normal song length at this point.
Yeah, it's got its own groovy vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's like engineered as like the previous three, but still pretty good. And with that, I think
which is bad because this is the start of the B-side.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean the B-side just the last 4 songs as opposed to the first 3. And it goes on to the next song of the album, which is track number 5, Home at Last. And it starts with this really good jazz piano.
Oh yeah.
And then like this brass and guitar breaks in.
This one had a bit more drum presence to it as well, which was a nice change of pace. It was a lot louder.
Yes. Drum presence, and it's got this like bass line that's like super strong.
Mm-hmm.
The whole song rests on top of.
They brought the synth back a little bit for this one as well. I don't know if you picked it up, and it was kind of a bit weird for just a couple of seconds, but then it transitioned into something that almost sounded like a theremin.
Something close to that?
It was probably just a setting for a synth, if I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think the synth works better on this one. It's introduced earlier, and it kind of plays a low-key role in the song.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual like breakdown and chorus itself kind of has this almost like kind of swaying vibe to it, with the jazz piano kind of keeping your head bobbing the entire time.
Yeah. And this one was, I think, the second best example of the strong backing track of the woodwinds. Not as strong as Deacon Blues, but was it Deacon Blues? I've already forgotten. I can't remember when I say things.
But still pretty strong.
Yeah, still pretty strong. Yeah, it was Deacon Blues. They don't overuse anything. There's elements that are similar between songs, but it's kept fresh.
Yeah, for an album that's obviously got a lot of jazz within it, it feels like very intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously jazz is a little more spontaneous in nature, but it's clear like these guys came in knowing exactly what they wanted from their studio artists, and had them deliver on that. where it just kind of makes it a very extremely tight set.
Hmm.
Um, Plus that breakdown at like the 2:45 mark. Like the kind of the brass comes in and like it really blasts in with this like very high, almost like electric sounding trumpet.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the most energy on the album.
Which I don't know if you're ready for it, but it's a very stark contrast to the next song.
Oh yeah. Song number 6 is "I Got the News," which is a change of pace for the album, to say
Yeah,
the least. I think.
yeah. This one is. I initially called it thin but not bare. I would revise that about halfway through to be it's kind of bare. They take out almost all of the backing, so it's really just bass and drums. And there's a couple of moments where that's all there is, as opposed to in the past where there's the keyboard, there's the woodwinds, there's some brass, there's usually a couple of guitars playing. Now sometimes it's literally just bass and drums.
Yeah.
Which
I was saying earlier how like everything feels very intentional. This one is kind of feels intentionally more like free form.
yeah.
It's kind of got the piano and bass stay pretty consistent. Well, the rest is like a little more skeletal.
Yeah. Like Larry Carlton had a good guitar solo at around 2 minutes, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It feels repetitive. Like you're saying this one feels a bit more freeform jazz. I think this one feels a lot less freeform jazz. It's way too structured for the style that they've had going. They keep coming back to the same topic too much, as opposed to letting the soloist. Usually after a solo you move on. Except Larry Carlton has a solo and then they go back, and then somebody else plays a little bit and then they go back. They don't progress. They kind of just take 2 steps forward, 1 step back throughout the entire song, which gives it a very... Also, the complete lack of backing track kind of hurts it a little bit as well.
Yeah. Originally, I didn't care for this song as much, but it has honestly kind of grown on me. I'm not sure if it's because it's kind of got like a little more of an off-kilter sound that kind of sets it apart from the rest of the album.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a little more like spiky, I guess that piano that kind of jumps back and forth. But I kind of like the core thesis of the song, that kind of core groove, which you're right, it definitely has like the least song progression out of any of the songs here. But it still has, some vocal change ups. It's got that Larry Carlton kind of solo.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's a pretty solid track.
Oh yeah,
even
yeah.
if it's like the most non-Steely Dan track on the Steely Dan album.
Yeah, I mean it's still a great song. It's just when you've gotten 5-star dish after 5-star dish and you're handed a 4-star dish, you're like, what is this shit?
For me, it's more like going to take a drink of water, but it's Sprite, and you like Sprite, but like you thought it was water, so you kind of like recoil. You're like, ugh, but like then you get used to it. That was kind of my reaction to it.
All right, yeah, I can respect that. Yeah, I mean it's not a bad song. I just don't think it's up to the caliber of the other ones we've gone over so far.
Which I guess if you're gonna do something a little different, kind of the non-single B side is where you're gonna stick it. So
Yeah.
this is where to be.
And jump into the last track then, Coop, if you're ready.
Yep. Last track on the song,
Josie.
Track number 7, Josie. This is, I think, the 3rd song on the album that is named after a woman. So
is Peg named after a woman?
Yeah. Peg, I'm coming back to you. I'm assuming short for Peggy.
I don't listen a ton to the vocals, I will admit.
But yeah, this is Josie. Or Jose, probably Josie.
They say Josie.
And yeah, it's the last song of the album. I think it's their 3rd single as well.
Which, I don't know, this one, it was good, but there was just nothing that really grabbed me for like the first 2 minutes,
It does definitely begin to a little more like, it's got like a more of a funk going on.
Mm-hmm.
But then that chorus is like so catchy, I think.
Yeah, it's a very good chorus. I will say, I say 2 minutes because I started really paying attention at 2 minutes because it almost sounded like they started to fade out already, and there are 2 minutes left in the song. I
I
don't
mean,
know
it
if
is the.
I don't know
I
if it
mean, I
was
like
just in my mind, but it was. I noticed it getting quieter before it came back up again for the chorus again. I'm like, did I just imagine all of that, or were they actually starting to fade out?
I don't think it was getting quieter. I mean, there's kind of like at the 2.5 minute mark, there's kind of like a funky guitar breakdown. Um, that itself probably could have lent as like an outro.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, it's pretty low key. It's still pretty technical and competent, but it's like it could if it did feel like a guitar solo that could have been like a fade out outro.
Yeah.
Even though there's like another 2 minutes of the song left.
I wouldn't necessarily say technical, but
I'd say competent.
yeah, definitely competent. But and I at this point I was like, man, I can't believe how good I've gotten at recognizing how Larry Carlton plays guitar. I guess listening to
Yeah, I guess
his jazz.
I didn't
for
realize
years
how
and years.
I didn't realize how prevalent he was on this album.
Yeah, he's one of the lead guitarists.
But hey, I think he makes the album better for it.
Oh yeah. But that's all I had for this one. You got anything else for it, Coop?
Not too much for Josie. I mean, I think it's a good song,
Yeah.
but certainly not the best on the album.
Yeah.
No, that chorus is still pretty slapping though.
But that's already the end.
This is
already the end of the album.
I mean, like I said, a quick 40 minutes. Flies
40-minute
right by.
and 1 second album. Thank you very much, Cooper.
Wow. There we go. You can use that second for whatever you want, Sam.
Mm-hmm. And we've talked for just about as long as the music goes, too.
Yeah, that seems appropriate.
Although, granted, we always have the 10 minutes at the beginning where we just chat crap, so...
Well, now we can talk about our chat crap about the actual album.
Yeah, so... Cooper, what would you say your favorite song on the album is?
Favorite song? So this is a hard one, because there's a lot of great songs on this album. Black Cow is, I think, an amazing opener. It really sets the mood for the entire album. And that chorus and the instrumentation, everything's so delicious. And Asia's a great title track too, super strong. But I'll probably have to go with Deacon Blues. In terms of like, if I could only choose one song from this album, it'd be that one. Because it's got great vocalists. I love the lyrics to sing along to. It's 8 minutes of just pure great instrumentation. It's just a song that's like, it's a very rare song. If like I've listened to this song dozens of times and I've never gotten sick of it. I mean, it's a long song too. So I don't know. I just really love this song. I think it's like the Steely Dan ideal. What about you, Sam? What's your favorite?
I would have to agree with you. I might have shown my hand a little bit earlier where I said it was on my chillin' playlist, but this has been there for a couple of years. Next to what's the other Steely Dan song? Haitian Divorce.
That's also a great song.
I got those on there back to back. But it's a very good song. I would argue the strongest on the album. Asia is very good, but I don't know. Just that last 30 seconds kind of.
Wow, that's it that really soured you, huh?
Well, when you compare something that has a tiny flaw to something that I feel like has no flaws, the thing with no flaws is going to win out. So
that makes sense.
And it's got the best sax solo on the album as well. So that definitely
is also true. So in that case, what's your least favorite song in the album?
My least favorite is probably gonna have to be "I Got the News." It was a lot thinner than anything else. It's still got a good solo in it. It's still got really good vocals. It's just it felt a tad too repetitive for the freeform style that they had been doing. And the strength of this album is the dense backing track. It's so dense. There's so much going on. The denseness of it works to its advantage. Whereas with "I Got the News," it's kind of just some guitar and some drums for the backing. So I think that's to its detriment for sure.
That's fair.
What about you, Cooper?
Um, Originally, I was gonna say I got the news when I was first like kind of listening through this. Then I'm like, okay, that I was kind of on the same page as you. But like I said, it's grown on me. That kind of off kilter piano, that kind of dun 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 dun, just kind of bumps around in the back. It's grown on me. Um, to the point that I've really liked this song. I mean, it's not the strongest on the album, but I still enjoy it. So I'll probably have to go with Peg. Um, like it's got a good groove, and I kind of like the happy, cheerful vibe that it kind of brings to the album. But beyond that, I think it's nothing it does is like better than any of the other songs in terms of like individual elements.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of sums up to being like a not like an song because I think all the songs of this album are good. But kind of like I mean, coming off maybe it's just it comes right off of Deacon Blues, where it's like a little more standard. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's a good song as opposed to a great song, which this album's made up of a lot of.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I can respect that. I can respect that. So, getting into the rating, do you wanna do the rating this time? I can't remember who did it last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I can give it the rating. So as you know, I said when just saying his dad came over to do car stuff with him. His dad was actually in the auto business industry since he was 6 months old, um, and he works with that to this day. And of course, those genes were passed on to Sam. I myself have only been in the auto industry for measly 87 years, so still a novice. But here we like to use a kind of a car themed rating system, with Showroom being our tip top, right? The best of the best. This is something you have to listen to. Then on the flip side, you got a scrapyard. This is something that you just want to throw in the trash. Just don't even open it, right? It'll just stink up the joint. Just get rid of it as soon as you can. And then we'll give it like a high or a low, kind of depending on a little bit of wiggle room there. So in that case, Sam, what rating would you give this album?
I think I'm gonna have to give it a very, very high, like new. I don't know. Maybe it's my mood today, but I'm not feeling Showroom. It's a very, very good album, very tight album, but I feel like I'm just kind of oops, sorry, smacking my mic here. I feel like I'm kind of picking and choosing which songs I would come back to. The whole album experience is very nice, but I'm not sure it adds a whole lot to the listening experience. Maybe that's because I've listened to a lot of Steely Dan songs as one-offs off the radio and kind of stuff. But I feel like, if you just want to pick and choose which ones you listen to off of this, all the better for it. But if you want to sit down and listen to the whole album all the way through, that'll be a good experience as well.
Yeah, I can understand that. For me personally, I'll probably have to give this guy a Showroom. I really, really, really like Asia. It's a tight set. Even Peg, which I said wasn't my favorite song of the album, I wouldn't get rid of a single song of this album. And I've listened through it quite a few times.
I believe it.
I mean, even before this week of reviewing it, we were like, each chorus is like immaculate. The instrumentation is amazing. It has its weak points. I'm not going to say it's a flawless album. No album is. But in terms of like this particular sound that Steely Dan's kind of honed, I think this is close to or approaching close to how perfect you can get an album like this. And I just think it's masters who have honed their craft, kind of delivering on this album
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of good studio and jazz accompaniment, which personally I'm really into, and I think this makes this album just kind of the perfect storm for me. So I would highly recommend it to anyone who has. If you like music, listen to this album.
Yeah.
I guess if you don't like sounds or like listening to things, don't. But I guess don't listen to us then, because this is what a podcast is.
If you hate ears, don't listen to this.
Yes. But yeah, I really have to sing this album's praises. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, it's very good. I feel like maybe my non-showroom is coming from the fact that It's so jazz infused that I was almost like, I kind of just want to go listen to jazz now, you know.
That's fair. That's fair. But
uh, but yeah, so that is the end of it, and we'll jump on over to the spare tire now. Unless you got anything else to add on there, Coop.
no, I think I said my whole spiel.
And it's been 2 weeks now since we've done a spare tire, so I imagine you've listened to probably at least 15 albums during that time.
I've listened to a couple albums, yes. Uh, though not really many artists. Basically, I spent these a little extra time going through the Talking Heads discography
Ah,
I was
yes.
telling you about. Because last time I talked to you about it, I was probably like an album or two deep into it,
Hmm.
and now I've gone through and listened through their basically their entire discography. Um, and I've gotten a good taste of them, and I really dig them. Um, they are certainly weird. They kind of start off as this kind of punk rock, like dance music, and it kind of transforms in this kind of Afrobeat inspired, stuff. Uh, they're really hard to define genre wise, but it's got such a manic and kind of frantic energy. It's kind of alien at point that it gets a little infectious. And if you've never watched it, I highly recommend YouTubing "Stop Making Sense," which is like their live. It's like a rock concert movie, right? Like a live recording of one of their concerts. Because it is weird and it's wonderful. And David Byrne, who's the lead singer, is a freak of a man. Just watching him perform is like mesmerizing because he's like just so weird. Um, like someone trying to stuff an alien into like a human suit and like forcing him to dance, and he really doesn't want to. But if he's in good, they'll like kill him. And that's like the nervous energy he gives off. Um, yeah, no. Obviously, I think the back half of their discography isn't as strong as their front half, but still, all their albums have at least one great song on them, if not several.
Yeah, I gotta admit, probably not gonna listen to them.
And that's fair. They're definitely not for everyone.
Yeah, I really like. Oh crap! What's the one? Same
Once
as
in
it
a
ever
lifetime.
was.
Yeah.
That's a good song, but uh, for me, I've been listening still quite a bit of America. Still been really
Mm.
jamming out to that. Um, I also dipped into Jeff Lynne's solo career, um, which is Armchair Theater in 1990.
Mm.
That's one of his albums. He actually released another one. Let's see. He released another album in 2012, actually.
Huh.
But the Armchair Theater was his original solo album, and it is basically just ELO again. You can definitely hear some of the early influences of his stylings from the later Jeff Lynne's ELO albums. As when you work alone, you can't do as much. You know, you have a finite amount of time.
Hmm.
But there's some really good songs. The one that really stuck with me for a long time was he did a cover of "Stormy Weather" from 1942,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's a really good song. He also wrote a very short. Oop! I accidentally hit play. I was trying to see how long. A minute 54 song called "Save Me Now," which basically is about climate change.
Hmm.
And yeah, and the opening song is really good, and I've been listening to that way too much. Even the songs that I don't like as much will just get stuck in my head during the day, because he's very good at writing licks that you can't forget no matter how much you try.
And you said his name was Jeff Lynne? Did I say that right?
Yeah. His face is
Okay.
actually on our Twitch page.
Oh, you mean this guy who's I've listened to every single one of his albums from ELO? Yeah, no, he. I haven't dug into his solo material though, so maybe I'll have to give that a look.
But yeah, I was a pretty big fan. It took a hot second to grow on me, and initially I was it was iffy, but as I listened to it a couple more times, it cemented itself for me. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
I like that.
that's really all I've been listening to. You got anything else, Coop?
No, I think that's about it.
Alrighty. Well, then, thank you all for listening to the Audio Shop podcast. This week we listened to Asia. It was a good time. Bit of a shorter one, but it was a shorter album, so less to cover. If you are just now hopping on Twitch and you like what you hear, we're live almost every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to listen to this full episode or would like to hear some of our other stuff, you can go down and click on Jeff Lynn's face. He's the guy with the curly hair. And that'll take you over to our YouTube, where we have all the past episodes, for better or for worse.
Every single one.
Yeah. Posted up there. And if you're just listening to this on YouTube, I've already done a little spiel about coming over to Twitch. We try and interact with the chat. That's what it's called. When they're here. No one was really here today, so there wasn't much interaction. But
hey, let's focus in on our craft.
Yeah, craft in quotations. But yeah, what about the Twitter, Cooper?
Yeah, you can follow us at Twitter, where we drop basically all of our.
It's Audio Shop 14 is the name.
Sorry, did I not say that? At Audio Shop 14.
I thought you were looking it up. I thought that's what you
were
doing.
No. I just had a brain fart. No, yeah, we're at Audio Shop 14, where we'll tell you when we're reviewing. Like I said, it's usually Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and what we'll be reviewing. We will most likely not be doing this next Sunday, as it will be 4th of July weekend.
All right. And we probably won't be doing the Sunday after that either.
Oh, yeah, because we'll be visiting. So we might be on a hot hiatus here for a little bit, guys. But we'll keep you posted, so keep an eye on that. And we hope that you'll join us next time.
All righty. Well, thank you all for listening, and we will catch you later. See ya, shoppies.
Shoppies.
All righty. See ya.
See ya.